The following gameplay is a work in progress. Not all rules and assets used were finalized at the time of recording. Check the rulebook for up-to-date information.
Oh no!
So, with the last enemy defeated, the badniks explode. But notably, as Mojave is probably wondering about, because he's really conscious about animals and stuff, these badniks did not have animals inside them like they usually do. Uh, but that being said, um, so after you defeat the last enemy, there is a group of people approaching you. You see a group of bears in military gear, led by uh, like a more what's the word?
A more industrial terrorist.
Sure. No, a more seasoned looking one. That's the word I'm looking for. No, a more seasoned looking military type guy.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, it's not a big deal if you guys see it now. Just I was covering up that. Anyways, back to the explanation. So those guys are approaching. They're running towards wreckage, as well as a human man. Um,
what?
yes, a human man, which is unusual for you to see. There
Is
are
he
very
wearing
few.
red?
He is an older man. He has a long gray beard. He's quite skinny. Um, he looks to be, maybe in his late 60s, early 70s. Um, I have you now, Mega Man. Um, but so they go over to the wreckage, and the military guy is barking orders like, clean up, and the human man is looking over like he's like almost looks sad. And so the old man, he dusts himself off, and here, I'll go ahead and reveal these now. So here's what the bear looks like, and here's what the human looks like. Original characters do not steal.
I don't trust humans.
The old man dusts himself off and puts away his crescent wrench. I'm terribly sorry about the commotion you walked into. These repurposed badniks have served our town well for years without issue. Fortunately, you seem to have the problem well in hand. He extends his hand to each of you to shake, though it is covered in grease. My name is Ebenezer. I guess you could say I'm the mayor around here. Though we like to keep things pretty informal, you can call me Ben if you like. On behalf of Tinkertown, I thank you for your help in corralling the most difficult runaway robots around here. The grizzled bear, dressed in military boots, gloves, and helmet, narrows his eyes and glares at the human. We wouldn't be in this mess if you just listened when I told you that using Dr. Eggman's abandoned tech was dangerous. Then again, what else would I expect from someone who used to work for the guy? Ebenezer is seemingly hurt by the remark, but maintains his composure. Captain Sims, I've always appreciated the work you and your militia have done in protecting our town, and I've never claimed to be without fault. But by reclaiming what that tyrant left behind, we've been able to work towards undoing the damage he caused here and make a better life for ourselves. I still don't understand what went wrong, but when I do, things will work out, I'm sure. And so, with huffing and puffing, Captain Sims, the bear, he growls and storms off with the rest of his men towards the village. And Ebenezer apologizes and dismisses himself. He says, I hope this experience hasn't turned you off on Tinkertown. It's a wonderful place. We have all sorts of shops and local attractions at the town square that you're free to explore. We even have our own star post here that you can exchange those rings and mobiums at. I'll ask around. I'm sure someone here can put you up for the night. It's the least I can do to show my appreciation. Uh, by the way, what are your names?
Irrelevant.
Sumo immediately pushes the other two out of the way and says, I am Sumo. It's a pleasure to meet you. And he shakes his greasy hand.
And he goes, ha, ha, ha. Well, it's nice to meet you all, but I have work to get back to. If you have any more questions, I'll be in my office at City Hall, but enjoy your stay here in Tinkertown. And so he heads off into the village. So So, with that said, you have a village that you can check out. He mentioned specifically that there's a star post, which in this system is how you convert your rings to mobiums that you can use to buy stuff with. So, if anyone would like to, yeah, yeah, just it's in the town. It's an abstract kind of thing towards the center, we'll say. So the conversion rate for rings and mobiums is one ring equals 10 mobiums. So do the math.
So I would have 200 mobiums if I were to cash in all my coins.
Yes. So that's the thing. So it's like you want to bounce. Okay, I want to have stuff to buy with, but I also don't want to die. If I get hit. So, um,
It depends. What's at this crude little store?
so
Yeah, actually, I kind of want to check out
oh,
the
okay, yeah, fair enough.
marketplace.
So, um, so you enter into the shopping district, and you notice there's like souvenir shops, like really kitschy stuff, like T-shirts and mugs and whatnot. But there's a place called the Depot, and it looks like to be where most of the transactions here happen. Um, and this is what's up for sale. There's two sides to this. One side is consumable, generic items. The other side is specialized gear that's sold here. But notably, this place does not have all the bells and whistles of most places. It just has very basic items. So you have your super ring, which is basically you encapsulate a few of your rings to save for later, so that you can sort of, for lack of a better word, infuse them into yourself if you need them at a critical moment. Power sneakers, which Mojave already has, those boost your speed, and then the barrier shield, which ups your dodge. Um, and meanwhile, the other items, I'll just let you read the descriptions. They're pretty self-explanatory in most cases, but those are up for purchase as well. Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, this place, it doesn't have like high-end specialty stuff like light speed shoes, which are like increase the characteristic or like your rating. So like you could increase your speed from 5 to 6 or whatever. Um, but this is just like very basic stuff. But there is some like specialized stuff here. Like you notice there's like looks like some like outdoors equipment for sale, as well as communicators and cell phones and whatnot to keep in contact with each other.
So if I were to buy a cell phone and I wanted to call my teammates that don't have a cell phone, it would not work.
Um, I would say it would work. It just would be reliant on cell coverage. Um, so like basically if there's no cell phone service, it wouldn't work. But if there was, you're in an open area, you can call them.
I might, I might actually want the power sneakers because I am just that slow. But
Yeah, if only you had someone who was willing to share theirs. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So you can go ahead and buy them for yourself if you like.
yeah,
Oh, and I bought the phone. Is there
Okay,
a
yeah.
card for it?
So mark off 15 rings if you
Yep.
haven't already. That being said, one of your teammates has expressed interest in power sneakers. Are you
Take
willing to
mine.
yeah.
wait, what? What?
Bounce off his head?
I'll spend three rings for actually yeah, I'll spend 3 rings
Uh for what?
for a rope, flashlight, and a torch.
Oh, I see. Cool. Interesting question. So first of all, let's just resolve, make sure our bookkeeping is in order. So
Yeah, I just don't have a way to keep track of the items I bought.
yeah, I guess we could just use a note card. Yeah, you know what? That'd actually be a good thing for all the players to have. Now that I think about it. And okay, so just for your reference, you are here in this big building, or well, medium-ish building. It's like you're in the small part up front. Like there's a shopkeep up front that's selling stuff, but there's like this big warehouse in the back where everything. You can tell this is where they get all their shipments from out of town.
Uh,
But okay, but you expressed interest in the works. So everybody have all of their items and stuff in order.
yeah. Hey, Sumo, I'm giving you my rope.
Okay. All right. I'll take
So
that. Maybe.
that it'll make him like triple good at climbing stuff instead of double good.
And
And
is it
also,
a consumable?
yes, depending on how you use it. So you'll notice in the description it says that it adds +1 advantage to climb checks. But you can also potentially use it to tie somebody up.
Which
Um,
would consume it?
yes, or you can also use it to avoid falling once, and that consumes it as well. So it's like basically there's uses that consume it immediately, and then there's depending on your dice rolls, it will degrade over time. Got that figured out. Okay, so you head towards the middle town. So I'll just as passing by. The works is the biggest building in the town. You notice like over here, like this is City Hall, and this is uh the militia HQ. But this place is notably where most of the activity is happening. And just like walking up to it, you can hear like all sorts of machinery and equipment like like grinders and drills and forklifts and all that. But although at this time you see a lot of people walking around, it's like people are getting off of work. It's starting to uh you know it's nice out, so people are enjoying themselves. You also notice there's several, it looks like this place has been ransacked recently. Like there's all these trash cans that are tipped over. There's doors that have singe marks on them. And you notice like all these like busted badniks lying around that people are in the process of cleaning up. You even see a motobug, one of the ladybugs that was like tied to a rickshaw, um, which is now inactive. But it was like apparently being used for that purpose at one point. Um, but so you approach the works, and you can tell this is where most people work. So you see, it's basically a giant shop. So, and you see people moving around pieces of scrap, and like you see a lot of like badniks, especially. Um, like some are completely scraps, some are being put together, and all sorts of weird looking tech around. And it's towards the end of the day, so people are starting to wind down, but work is still finishing up. Um, do you? I guess what do you do? Okay. Um, so no one in particular has acknowledged you, aside from people like coming out and like nodding and say like, "Hey, how's it going?" And they continue on. Um, do you approach anybody in particular, or do you just kind of explore on your own, or what happens? All right. Um, so I guess yeah. So go ahead and make a perceive check. No set difficulty. We're just gonna see how many hits you roll. So you don't have any ranks in it, but you have 4 dice to work with. Net nothing. No tricks, no slips. So I'm just gonna say that as you're walking around, um, like someone's like every turn you go, like people are like, "Hey, you're not supposed to be back here," and like they're not like upset about it, but they just kind of dismiss you.
So, I think this is where sumo would come in handy.
Yeah, sure.
Sumo would like to talk with some of the locals and see if he can get anything that his perceptive friend did not.
All right then. So how do you want to go about it? Do you want to persuade someone to help you out? Do you want to um, pretend like Madeline works here and deceive someone? Do you want to? Uh, I'm gonna let him do his thing first because he hasn't acted yet.
So
Um,
I'll go ahead and just persuade someone to give me some info about this place.
okay, okay. So yeah, so go ahead and roll persuade. Um, difficulty will be 2, so you'll need at least 2 successes. Well, you know what? Actually, what I'll do, I'll just see how many successes you have and tune the results to that because you aren't specifically doing something I was looking for. Um,
Hey,
okay, 1
Hey,
success.
nothing.
Yeah, the
Wait.
3 on a D10 counts as a success.
Oh, it does.
Um,
Yes. Okay.
okay. So, I'm going to say that uh someone working there, like they take off their uh what's it called? I'm blanking out. Not earphones, but like protective ear equipment. Um
Earmuffs.
AirPods.
Earmuffs. Yeah. Why am I blanking on words? Okay, yes. So they take them off and they notice you and then they kind of smile a little bit like, "Oh, yeah, this guy he looks like he'll be some fun." And he says, "Oh, hey, yeah, well, we're working right now. If you come back in a little bit, when we're off hours, I'm sure you can find someone to give you a tour."
Yes. Sumo thanks you for your assistance. I will come back.
Okay, Mojave. Does Mojave do anything in this scene?
Um. So what is Will doing?
So basically, so Madeline tried to roll perception or perceive rather, to see if she could notice anything, but she was kind of just brushed off by everybody. She didn't get a good look at what was going on. And then Sumo talked to somebody and he got enough success to get his attention. He said, "Oh yeah, well we're busy right now, but come back after hours in a bit, and someone will probably give you a tour." Um, so what have you been doing in the meantime?
I'll keep to myself, but I'm very intrigued by the scorch marks and rummage trash.
Okay. Oh, okay. No, no, he was talking about the. That would be funny though if he wants to do that. He's free to do that. But I think he was referring to the. I described the trash cans as knocked over. Um, but like overall, like there's a lot of badnik robots that are in various states of disrepair all around town, and lots of places that look kind of ransacked. Um, okay,
Which
so so
doesn't make sense if, as you
so
said, this town was attacked a long time ago, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, so for Madeline's skill check, you know that Eggman occupied this place years ago. Um, and but then Ebenezer, or Ben, as he likes to call himself, he said that they've been repurposing the robots. Don't know all the details. And then uh, Captain Sims, the bear, he was like, "Yeah, well, that's what someone who used to work for Eggman would say. That you're making things better." And there's kind of a disagreement there, and yeah, so that happened.
Yeah, that some I think there's some kind of missing plot there. If if this town was attacked a long time ago and these bots are still in disrepair and there's still damage and scorch marks and trash everywhere, and yet it has not been cleaned up, why are people still not doing anything about it? It doesn't add up to me. Is there any way to like investigate the broken down bots
Yeah,
even
yeah,
further?
sure. So if you want to um make a perceive check on a nearby uh broken down unit.
Ooh. All right. Can my cell phone do anything?
Uh, yeah, that's true. I mean, if you can make a case for how that phone would help you out in this situation, it might give you some advantage.
Um. Uh. did it come with a USB cable? Like, could I plug into a USB port?
Oh, um, I mean, yes. I'm just. Or are you like planning on like plugging into the robot and or something?
Downloading the data. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, now I'm debating. Like on one hand, the logical tech person is like, that's impossible. That's like, there's no way. And the other part of me is like, that almost sounds semi plausible. I'll just say that you get an advantage on this roll. Um, doing something with the maybe you're just plugging into the battery or something. I don't know. But
Yeah.
so
Try to charge
essentially,
the phone.
what you can do. So basically, what's going to happen is you'll roll the same check with the same dice. It just you'll basically get an auto success.
Oh, well, that's nice. Oh.
Oh
Oh,
my
3
lord.
success. Wow. Okay. Um, so you plug in and you know, like, oh, hey, like these things are powered by animals, but this thing has its own charge. It's like the battery has been replaced with something else. Um, and uh overall, looking it over, it looks like um it was eventually this one looks like it was shot down. Um, but you notice there's other ones that seem to have been like hit with a blunt object, others that just they um they just seem to be barely working to begin with. Um, it overall, like the impression you get is just like these robots malfunctioned in various states of functionality and just caused chaos everywhere. And since then, it seemed to have been winding down when you guys arrived. Um, and now things are calming down. But the people here uh, seem to be like, oh yeah, these robots are just like an ordinary part of our daily life. Like they walk by them without a second thought.
Um, Zuma wishes to go talk with the general and see
Okay,
how he think what he thinks about all of this because he seemed to be pretty upset about that.
yeah, okay. Um, so do all you guys head over or just sumo?
I'll come.
Okay. So you head over to Militia HQ, which is in the center of town. It's the smallest of the central buildings, but is still relatively large. You notice around the other side of the building, there's like these basically tiny dots on the map here, but uh, these are the prison capsules that Eggman uses to capture animals. But they seem to have been like turned into improvised prison cells. There's nobody inside them, but there are signs posted. Um, yeah, the things that you jump on and the animals pop out. Yes. Um, so you walk up to HQ, and there's a couple bears outside that, um, they're um, well, I guess actually at this point, they're not standing guard necessarily. They're just milling about inside. They notice you come in and they say, yes, how can we help you, citizen?
Sumo wishes to talk with your general. He seems about these robots he doesn't seem to like.
And, and then he says, General, no, he's our captain. He hasn't been a general since the war. But in any case, despite your lack of respect for the chain of command, I'm sure he'll be willing to speak with you. And he turns very mechanically to go off and fetch Captain Sims. Um, oh, way, way, way higher. That's general is more or less at the top. I mean, there's other ranks above it, but like general is the guy who's organizing the battle, and a captain is the guy who's on the field with the soldiers. Usually, I mean,
Basically, he's
from
like the lead of like a squadron of soldiers or something.
yeah, at least from my my
Well, I mean, it makes
pop
sense with
culture,
Sumo's character. He's not very well versed in anything.
yeah, from this a very pop culture influenced version of the military, at least. So yeah, so Captain Sims, he approaches you and he says, "Yes, can I help you?"
Sumo was curious about why you're so upset with these robots. That your mechanics guy seems to be repurposing.
Uh, he narrows his eyes a little bit. Go ahead and roll. Well, I'm assuming if you're just gonna be friendly with no ulterior motive, go ahead and roll persuade. But otherwise,
Yeah.
deceive or resolve.
Oh,
Oh wow. Okay. So that's a trick. 3 success total. So um so when you I guess with the trick, I just say that like you can't. He's basically having Vietnam flashbacks when when you're talking about like robots and stuff, and like you can see in his eyes he's seen battles, and of course your characters would know is that very recently Eggman managed to conquer the whole world more or less. And it was like an authoritarian dictatorship where we all lived in fear of Eggman's robots. But there was like a group of resistance fighters that toppled him. Which, with that trick, you discern that he was likely a part of. He has the same uniform. Um, but then, like, he squints his eyes and then he looks around and notices like no one is really, paying serious attention. There's nobody outside listening, and he says, "Well, between you and me, I don't have much trust for their kind. If you catch my drift." Neither.
probably the. I would
Yeah.
imagine the robots.
It's yes. So the robots, especially, can't trust them. They have no sense of morality. They don't abide by any honor. They just go well with their ones and their zeros, and they plug away until they chew you up and spit you out. I was
I like
opposed to the idea of reclaiming the tech. I was okay with safely disposing of it, but this whole town is Ebenezer's idea. He's the one who's organized the whole economy here, so of course the people respect his wishes. I've merely been hired to keep the peace, so that's what I do, and as long as he's paying me, I will continue to do that. You see, like, visible frustration, irritation. Like, ah, great, another one. Ah, you sound just like him. He uses that exact same idiotic line of reasoning every time he tries to defend himself for his actions. Ugh. Well, in either case, no amount of complaining about it will change anything, no matter how many times these things go off the rails. He'll claim he has it under control, as he always does.
Trying to think if we need to get any more information out of them.
I agree with what he's saying. I mean, Ebenezer's the one who's preparing these.
Sumo has to agree with the general here. Sumo likes people, and people are good. Robots, they're not people.
They're just tools.
Dr. Eggman did nothing wrong.
It's not Eggman did nothing wrong. No, Sumo believes in justice. And people in general are good.
Ebenezer could have repurposed his robots to do something different, yet they had the same destructive power. So something's up.
We should discuss it with him.
You have the rope ready?
I do.
So you head out, uh, and I will note it is like sunset is turning into twilight. The people are coming out of the works, or starting to. So you can go over to talk with Ebenezer, or you can go over to the works. Now it seems that people are done for the day.
I, yeah, I
I
kind
mean,
of
you can split up if you want, but
I'm
so
I'm gonna shadow Ebenezer.
yeah.
Oh,
Sumo has the talking skills, so he definitely wants to go prioritize Ebenezer. If Will wants to, all right, we'll go to
I
we'll
wanna
go to
catch
Ebenezer.
him doing something bad in 4K. Cameras can capture it up to 4K. Well, my phone can.
His first name wouldn't happen to be Scrooge, would it?
okay.
No,
So
dude.
you head over to the city hall, and there's just a few people working there. It's an office. And without really, screening you too much, they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, sure, he's in his office. You can go talk to him." Okay, so how do you approach? Okay, so you walk up and you can see he's sitting at his desk. He's squinting with his bifocals, trying to read the fine print on some document or another. And you knock on the door, and he says, "Oh yes, hey, yes, Maddie, was it or Madeline? Well, anyway." Oh, okay.
How did you know?
In that case, he just says, "Oh yeah, you're the girl from earlier. Uh, can I help you?" And then he says, "Well, given the time, I'm sure we'll find the answer soon enough."
Are you still using these robots?
And then he
Given time, the Hitsumo's first reaction is kind of just, "What are you still using these? If they're still dangerous?"
And then he says, "No, no, of course not. I've ordered them recalled to the works until we figure out what's going wrong with them. That's why they're all being cleaned up and put in the scrap heap until further notice. Of course, I don't want anybody in this town to get hurt, even if they have made things more convenient." He like puts a finger towards his chin and thinks thoughtfully for a moment, and he says, "Well, if I had to take a guess, and I would say this is only a working theory, but I would say some sort of electromagnetic interference disrupted the normal function of the badniks, causing them to revert back to their destructive programming. But as to where the interference came from, or whether it was deliberate or accidental, I have no idea. But I'm sure we'll figure that out soon enough." Or accident. Don't know. All sorts of natural things can cause EMI. But you're right. I need to take any possibility seriously.
So,
He just laughs. He's like, "Why? Why would I sabotage my own robots? That doesn't make any sense."
So Sumo must ask you, why do the robots still have their destructive abilities if they're used for other things?
Well, most of them don't. We de-weaponize them as one of the first screening processes in the works, but a few of them we had just picked up today and hadn't yet been through processing. Now that was the interesting thing is normally the ones that turn on are the ones that we tell to turn on, but these ones all turned on by themselves. It's real strange, and even though they weren't working at 100%, they still had their weapons on them. Of course, the ones used for civilian use have long since been changed and uh, repurposed for much more civilian friendly purposes. The first thing we did is swap out the power cell with a less ethically troublesome version of Eggman's original concept. Yeah, well, I that is something that I never agreed with was using living beings as a battery. That's just terrible.
Uh-huh.
Well, Sumo sees you as a good person, trying to do the right thing.
Still sus.
He just kind
Is
of
it
accepts him at
possible
face value.
to look up um like bad cell areas in this town or outside? Like I have a GPS, right? I can
Oh, like areas that don't have cell service, you mean? Or
yeah, areas that don't have cell
um
service are just areas that would cause
I mean
critical components to
just generally speaking, there's limited service throughout the island. This is like the hot spot, along with Casino Street, which is where he came in. It's mostly wilderness here. So it's not, I mean, this is narrative more than mechanical. Just like it's spotty reception throughout the island. But you could still make calls and use your phone for other stuff, like taking pictures and whatnot. Um, but yeah, so that's about where your phone works. Um, and so you'll notice on the map here that there are arrows pointing every which way. So there's Casino Street, which is the resort that you came from. Splash Hill, which is the totally not green hill zone that you came from. And then Mad Gear is like the stereotypical like final zone death trap city that Eggman was based out of originally. So that's so basically the people are going there to harvest scrap from there, and they bring it back here for processing. Um, but mhm, yes. Um, so with that said, after you've been talking for a while, uh, there's another knock on the door, and Ebenezer says, "Oh, come in." And then this rabbit guy shows up, and he says, "Hey, you called?" And then Ebenezer says, "Yes, Guster, I'd like you to meet these visitors here. They did an admirable job of cleaning up this evening and helping us out of pretty sticky situation. So I was hoping you'd put them up for the night as a show of gratitude." "Oh, okay. Well, I have some room in my house. I mean, if they don't mind sleeping on cots."
Sumo doesn't mind. It's a pleasure to meet you. What was your name again?
And he like offers his hand limply. He says, my name's Guster. Uh, pleased to meet your acquaintance. Oh, wait a minute. I think I know you. You're that wrestler type fellow that's on the news
Know
sometime.
who I am. Well, it's nice to meet a fellow fan. Nice
Oh,
to meet an
well, I
adoring
don't know if I'd
fan. It's
say
so good to
fan, but
see you.
you
And he
just
just
kind of
he
pull
just
over
goes
him.
off about like his wrestling career and how happy he's been to like
Okay. So just really quickly, I'll just so you find someone, they run you through, and so basically, there's four distinct work groups that work there. There's the people that go into Mad Gear, the scavengers that bring stuff in. There are the drivers that shuttle people back and forth between the shop and Mad Gear. And then there's the mechanics that basically rework the machinery into something usable. And then there's the technicians that reprogram the robots and figure out, like, if there's any weird Eggman tech, that nobody knows what's going on. They analyze it, see, okay, can we make a profit off of this or the scrap? Um, so that's the basic overview of it. And like I said before, like hundreds of people work here, which is like, as far as you can tell, probably close to 80 to 90% of the total population of the town. Um, most people living here are adults. They're looking for work, so they come here. Oh no, I'm talking about like 10 years old. No, honestly, in Sonic terms, I wouldn't be surprised if like they become like hardened employees at the age of 12 or something. Age makes no sense. Okay. Um, yeah, so something I'll detect it. Yeah, sure. Okay, so make a two difficulty tech check. Correct. And however, you get an advantage. Um, so it'll actually be a one difficulty check because you have delicate hands, plus one advantage to repair and modify devices with small components. So basically, you're salvaging scrap from the workshop and building something. All right, you succeeded with a trick or critical success, actually. Okay, so I mean, I don't know. I'll let you suggest something if you want. In this case, I didn't have anything particular planned, but you make a working EMI detector. I guess maybe the advantage is that no one questions it and lets you touch their stuff and mess around with the, you know, technicians there are very impressed. Like, wow, you're so young and you're able to do that. That's amazing, and blah 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 blah. Um, so that being said, your detector does not detect anything at the moment. So whatever interference was there is no longer present. Okay, so right, just yeah, for the sake of moving the story forward at a good pace, I will say you're at the house, which is location 5 on the map. So, uh, Guster takes you back to his house, which is a rather small dwelling, with a modest plot of farmland. Um, and in his house, you notice that he has a particular affinity for archaeology. He has pictures of ancient ruins from all around the world. And he has like a library with all sorts of books on, places and cultures and whatnot. Um, uh, and he shows you around and says, "Well, I'm sorry for the mess. I live by myself, so I'm not always the tidiest person, but this should be good enough for the three of you, I hope." And he shows you to his living room, and he has two cots prepared as well as like a really jury rigged thing on the ceiling for Madeline to sleep on. Um, And so he says, "Well, it's been a long day. I'm going to turn in early for the night, but you know, uh I guess I'll see you in the morning. But if you need anything, go ahead and Let me know. Make yourself at home.
Food.
Do you go straight for the fridge, or do you just say food?
I
Should just say food.
you said to make yourself at home, so I'm gonna ransack your fridge.
Okay, so you do that in about half a second. All the food is out on the table, and it's like, whoa, okay, well, knock yourself out. He's like, he's go like, whoa, this is a fast boy here. Um, um,
You're gonna loot everything in his house at mock speed, and he just won't notice.
And then
and
Sumo just says to him, "He's kind of abrasive and doesn't say much. Sorry about that."
okay, well, good night then. And so he heads off to his room and turns in for the night. Um, but is there anything else you do to make yourself at home, or do you turn in for the night? Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Sumo's just gonna kick it as soon as he can. So.
Okay. You collapse onto the floor, and the house shakes slightly as you fall to the ground. Um, and out like a light, Mojave is binging on snacks, and Madeline is intently watching the EMI reader. But I guess Mojave, do you do anything else before turning in?
Do you think I can find any rings in his house?
Oh my
Uh,
god.
I yeah, if you're okay with the robbery, go for it. So that'll be perceived check.
It's for a good cause.
Sumo's asleep. He doesn't know.
Not stealing. It's all going toward the environment. I run my
He's
own
he's
charity.
scavenging. He's scavenging. He's a survivalist. So he's
The perceive check.
yes.
Oh, why is? Sorry, my mouse is being weird. Oh,
Um, incidentally, well, you know what? Nah, I won't bother.
sorry. Can we? My mouse. There we go.
Oh, hey. Oh,
No.
okay. So you you find oh, there it is in the closet. You find some rings, and then like as you're about to grab them, Guster like comes out yawning, like he's heading towards the bathroom. He sees you reaching for the rings, makes awkward eye contact with you, and you just kind of like lock eyes with each other, and he just like
I'm not looking away.
Okay, so make a resolve check.
You. Oh gosh.
Oh
Sorry,
my
I
god.
need to reflip that. I flipped the board.
Okay.
Ugh. I'm not breaking eye contact. Oh.
Okay, which ones did you roll? One
Uh,
and three.
one
These.
and three.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, so like, uh, like just the awkwardness of the situation gets to you. You just kind of cringe and you look away, like, oh, whatever. Just let it go. But
I
he
still think
doesn't say anything either. He just like seems to be at a loss, and he's like, "Man, where did this guy come from? I don't know about." But he doesn't say anything. He's just like, "Okay." And yeah, yeah. And so as he goes, you notice though, like he's angling his ears towards you. Any like every action he takes, but he heads off to his bathroom. But he's he's listening to you.
Uh, if I touch the ring, does it make that clink sound?
Well, you didn't touch it. You were reaching for it when it happened.
I mean, he didn't stop me from grabbing it.
Well, I mean, when you broke off, he assumed you weren't going to grab it. But do you go ahead and grab it anyways? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's like floating in the air, spinning, right? And I'm like, well, I gotta grab it
Okay, so
really quick.
so you grab it, makes the clink sound. You get one more ring. Uh,
Oh my god. I'm disappointed in you.
this is better than I could have hoped. Um, so, um, so, so yeah, um, um, so, uh, do you head off to bed after that, or do
Yeah,
you
I'm
do
done.
anything else? Okay. Like you can as you're nodding off, you can tell like Guster is just like outside. He knows you took the ring, but he doesn't seem to be willing to do anything about it. He just feels really awkward about it, so he just hangs out in the living room for a few minutes.
I just like I stare at his door and I just walk backwards slowly with that 500-yard stare.
Okay, and then he heads back to his room and so um
No one will believe you.
Oh my god.
okay, let's see. So none of you uh none of you have any damage, right? You've all healed up.
Yeah.
I've only dealt
Okay.
damage.
Yeah. So had you taken any damage, you would have healed 5 uh hit points tonight. But so what happens from Madeline's side is she's intently watching the uh EMI reader and like just nothing, nothing, nothing. And she's starting to nod off. But then it goes beep, 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 beep. And then it makes this like really weird distorted sound. It's like almost like a wail of some like wounded creature. Even though it wasn't programmed to do that. Um, and so you jerk awake and outside you can hear commotion once again um in the village. But Madeline, you're the first one up right now. Although like everybody else, yeah. So um yeah, so I mean you guys decide what how you get up, but all of you are awake.
Okay. So
Yeah, I'm sleeping with the ring. It's
so
giant.
Sumo kind of logs himself open and goes, "What?" Slowly gets up.
No, I'm awake. Okay.
Okay. So you head outside and so incidentally, so you are here on the map. You see, like, basically in front of you is just hordes of badniks are going past you, um, towards the forest. You still see a few that are like coming out of the village, and they're like knocking stuff over and causing commotion. Notably, there doesn't seem to be sounds of like fire anywhere. They don't seem to be shooting at anything, or perhaps they can't. Um, and but like you see like can just kind of barely hear off in the distance. It seems like one of the moto bugs is ahead of the others, and there seems to be something on it, but can't quite make it out without making it. Oh yeah, it's going crazy, and it has this like really eerie siren wail to it. Um, it's like I don't know, like
Like Siren Head?
no, no, like sirens leading sailors to their doom kind of wail, like a living person,
Oh.
but coming out of a mechanical device.
Okay. I'm gonna. So a horde of them are coming.
Yeah, so basically, I'd say like like 50 of them have already passed you by, and the other 50 are coming out of the village and passing. Well, I'd say about half of them are like in the forest, 25 or so of them are right in front of you, and another 25 are still coming out of the village. But like I said before, they're not attacking anything. They just seem to be heading off in that direction.
Huh. I'm gonna call Ebenezer. Retcon.
Flip a Destiny token. Yeah, now I'm thinking. I mean, I'd say you can look it up because you have the internet.
I mean, this photo's from the store. I'm pretty sure there's like preloaded
Yeah,
contacts in it.
sure. So yeah, go ahead and make the call. Except your phone is not working. It's all like when you try to like you open it up and like the screen is distorting and like there's like a sine wave uh through the graphics. It's like pixels are tearing and like the number buttons are glowing sporadically. It's just like in the more now you realize as you look around, every mechanical device is on the fritz. Lights are blinking. Um, Vehicles are like turning on and off, and alarms are going off, and it just commotion.
Lights flickering. Um,
More or less, it's like they're moving as a pack. More or less moving from center of town. No, that's not what I wanted. Oh wait, it is, but it's just not showing up.
okay.
Um, Anyways, they're moving basically diagonal line from center of town to the top right corner of this map and off screen.
I will run ahead of them and see where they're going.
Okay,
Just scout.
so that takes you like a second or two because you're like going at Mach speed. Um, so you catch up with the head of the pack, and I guess I guess you don't really need to roll a perceive check because you can move around freely and you see what's going on. But you see, on the motobug leading the pack is Captain Sims. However, you notice he's no longer wearing his helmet. Instead, his exposed shiny metal head is exposed, glinting in the moonlight. It's like a part of his head is cybernetic.
Ah, disappointed. Can't believe I agreed ideally with a machine. It is his fault. Um,
What are the other two of you doing? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I guess Madeline, you can kind of keep up. Like, I mean, it takes you like a minute or two to catch up.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's like
But
Sonic Heroes.
Sumo
Well,
is just jogging behind, just kind of doing his best, really. Unless someone like is specifically gonna carry him,
yeah.
although he's weak. Yeah, you can carry him. I mean, it'll limit your speed, but I mean, it's not gonna make a mechanical difference. It just means
So,
it takes you.
does the
uh,
captain see me? Or does he not
uh,
care?
he does not acknowledge you.
Oh, okay. So is there anything like, do I see what's ahead of me? Like, do I know where
Uh,
to?
more trees.
What?
At this point, it's too early to tell.
I'll keep following.
Okay. Yes, yes, it's still going off. Yes. Uh, over time, it seems to be steadily increasing. So, yeah. So you're actually heading off this direction. Okay. So basically, is anyone going to attempt anything, or are we just waiting it out to see what happens? Um, I mean, the thing is that whatever's happening to your device is really weird. Like, it's not something it should be able to do. It's like it's being hijacked by something incomprehensible. So, like, none of the controls you're doing do anything. It's like even when you turn it off, it turns itself back on and does the same thing. Uh, it's one and the same. Yeah, yeah. hmm Okay, so you guys just wait it out. Um, the herd of badniks come to a stop in a clearing within the forest. A tall stone structure is nestled within that pierces the sky. It's covered in yellowed bricks, contrasting with green moss oozing from every crevice. You appear to have come across some ancient ruins, surrounded by murky waters. And then when you reach yeah, when you reach the destination, all the badniks they just kind of like surround the structure. Captain Sims gets off the uh the motoboat that he was riding on, and he just sits there with a vacant stare. Um, and suddenly you hear a rustling in the forest behind you. Um, like after all the badniks have come, and you turn to see a fretful-looking Guster emerging from the trees. I'm glad you're all okay. When you ran off with the robots, I was worried something bad would happen. Oh, whoa, what's this? Gee whiz! Guster's face brightens like a kid in a candy store. These ruins are in amazing condition. They remind me of the ruins on South Island. Guster makes his way through the herd of badniks, avoiding an attempted pinch by a crabmeat's claw. He seems to forget the rest of you are here, lost in examining every inch of the ruins here. So you have him doing his own thing.
So, my research has concluded that a grouping of robots is known as a swarm. So it is not a herd; it is a swarm of robots.
That really,
Apparently.
Good to
that
know.
really grinded your gears.
What? I was
Um,
curious if there was one specific one for badniks, but I couldn't find it. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically.
um,
and so they're just idle, just staring up at the sky.
yeah, they're like all, well, I'd say a good chunk of them are facing the ruins, but others are just like sitting there idly, like cattle that have been brought out to a pasture.
Can
Um,
I run up walls?
run what?
Can I run up walls?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Um, You like want to run up to the top or something?
Yeah.
Okay. So make an acrobat check.
How's that different? Oh, okay.
So it'll I'll say it'll be a 2 difficulty, because it has disadvantage from the slippery moss.
Okay.
All right, 2 success, exactly what you needed. So,
Yep.
um, you hop up and run up, you know, basically do your free running up to the top. And so you notice that this is like the tallest thing for several miles. I will mention that like basically what just happened is you all have traveled several miles away from the village at this point. Um, yeah. um, and so yeah, you look around and like you can see Mad Gear, which is the city from Eggman, off in the distance. It's darkened. And then there's, way, way off back where you came from, you can see Casino Night, which is the city that you entered when you came here. See Splash Hill, um, just like an overview of the island. And you can see the farmland for uh, the village, Tinkertown. But there's nothing really, yeah. At least in this part of the island, there's nothing else that really sticks out to you, if that's what you were attempting to do.
Um, I thought it'd be some kind of device or thing on top of this tower, or some kind of entrance
I
inside the.
I will I guess I will give you that, looking at the ruins, there is sort of a strange green glow that just sort of emanates from it. Um, it seems to like every crevice has like a green glow to it.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know if I have an image to show you guys, but it's um yeah, well, yeah, it would take me a minute to look up the image for it, but it's basically
So
imagine the Roman Colosseum with yellow bricks, and then like the insides are glowing green. Essentially, a lot smaller, and it's sort of like just a tower that's sticking up out of the ground, and there's a lot of water around it too.
so kind of like this.
I guess, yeah.
Can I break inside?
Can you what?
Can I go inside? Like just
Oh yeah, yeah.
break to the
Um,
ground?
so, but first, let's go ahead and check in with what everybody else is doing. So, um, um, okay, so with that, you can go ahead and roll a knowledge check. And what's going to happen is, uh, it's going to be an assisted check. Um, but let's see, how many you have? One rank in knowledge. Okay, so what's going to happen is it's going to use his dice roll because he has three, no, two ranks in knowledge. But he also has a talent, uh, that gives him a boost here that will boost the check additionally. So hold on, let me double check this real quick. Um, I guess I guess I will preface that. So you're asking him what he knows about these ruins, right? Okay, go ahead and grab this one. So this is uh with the special skill he has that's upgraded. Um, and then I'll add another dice for your assistance. You're pooling your knowledge together. 7, 8, 5. Okay. Okay. a one success, but it's a trick. Oh, okay. I thought it was a 7. Um, okay. Okay, so in that case, um, he says, "Well, let me get the voice. Well, it seems very old. I've had to hazard a guess thousands of years ago, probably by the island's original inhabitants, the third great civilization. Uh, I've heard rumors of some civilizations that made vast labyrinths that hid precious treasures that they didn't want others to find. So something that um like is something that you deduce, thinking, okay, so Eggman used to be here. Oh, I wonder if he used this as a base. That's a thought that occurs to you with the trick. That's
So,
the question.
Sumo says to uh, Gunter,
Uh,
he
Guster.
says, "Hey Gunter, what would you call a group of robots? Would you call them a pod, a herd, a swarm?"
And then he says, well, hey, he gives it a thoughtful look. I think Eggman calls it the Badnik Horde. I think that's the official term. And he like adjusts his glasses with his finger.
So as he's finishing up, he then goes, "Is this something we need to get into? I heard the word treasure. Wait a minute."
And then he says, "Yeah, yeah. I bet if we look around, there's probably an entrance around here somewhere."
Sumo's gonna try punching into it.
Yes. Okay. So, um,
All right. So
I
how exactly would I
um,
do this?
you know, I'm gonna actually I'm gonna have this as a move check because it's moving stuff around. Um, but so
Okay.
it's gonna be a 3 difficulty move check.
Oh, okay.
I-
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like you have the ability to deadlift semi trucks. So it's within your power to do this, but it is also you're just randomly doing it with no thought to where an actual entrance would be logically. So,
oh
oh,
my
he
god, it's
succeeds.
just
Wait,
yeah.
oh no, that's right. He failed. He needed 3. I forgot.
Oh,
Almost succeed. I'll just yeah.
dang.
So, I'll just say narratively, you managed to wreck the place up, not finding a single entrance, but you did at least break up the stone. It uh it crunches into fine powder with your fists. Is very satisfying, and you can
Yeah, he's
suplex
on
these
top,
large
isn't he?
bricks. Oh
Or
yeah, Mama's
Mavane.
on top. So meanwhile, he feels the ground shaking, as well as I'm sure very enthusiastic grunts and whatnot. Okay. So make a perceive check with an advantage. So I guess in that case it would just upgrade it. So I guess as an aside, how this works is if the difficulty is 1 or lower, then it upgrades it. If it's 2 or higher, then it reduces the difficulty. Um yeah, okay. So you see that the ruins seem to go deep underground, and levels on top are just the tip of the iceberg. And you see um, an archway with that like leads down a pathway looking down beneath the ruins with these very ornate, what might be hieroglyphics adorning it. Meanwhile, Mojave, what's Mojave doing?
Oh,
As
I'm
he's
still
feeling the
right,
sorry.
right.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I'm still on top of the tower.
Yes, you're on top of the tower while this has been going on. But you
So I'm
feel it
trying to-
shaking and starting to crumble a little bit.
Oh, good. I'm gonna break through.
Okay, okay. You know what? Why not? I'll just make it a spin check. It'll be the same difficulty as Sumo's check, but if you can get 3 success, this will be pretty epic.
Spin attack or spin dash? Does damage matter or no? It's regular spin. All right.
This is more of a thematic thing.
I'm missing a
There you
yeah,
go.
yeah piece. Using my mouse, it's being wonky.
One,
But,
two, three. Three
Oh my
success.
gosh, he
And
succeeded.
a critical success too. So
Oh
you just
my goodness.
like do a Sonic's homing attack in Smash Bros. Where if there's nothing to hit, he just like goes down. So it's like jump, spin, bzz, just like tunneling through. Like the whole thing starts to crumble and cave in on itself.
nice.
I won't say I'll say it's like 60% reduced to rubble at this point, counting um Sumo's efforts as well. But then like you can hear like Guster like wince as he's and now the air is covered with dust. You can't hardly see your hand in front of you. Not to mention it's like pitch black night outside. All is left is like the ambient green glow, which fills your vision. That's a good question. Well, I guess the dust starts to clear a little bit, and you hear like confused mutterings. Um, I guess like better go check on him. Okay, so you see him and you see like all this rubble has like hit him. But it seems like he can tell like it's like bounced off the metal plate on his head. So he doesn't seem to have like been seriously hurt, but he's dazed and he's looking around and he's like, where who's there? And he reaches for his rifle, but he can't find it. So he's just like miming the motion of holding his rifle out. And he's like,
Does
where?
Sumo
Show
see this?
yourselves, enemies.
Does Sumo see this?
He hears it for sure. Uh, I mean, I'm not sure your character would know. Mojave, you could definitely tell the difference. Uh, I wouldn't say trapped so much as like he's wedged against it. So, I mean, like
I
he
think
doesn't.
Sumo's gonna go over and hearing that he has come to, he's going to move some of the rubble out of the way for him.
Okay, yeah. So it's fairly trivial for you to do that with your super strength.
Yeah.
Um, and so he's like, "What? Are we under attack? Did the village get destroyed? What happened?" And then Guster says, "No, no, it's just a crime against culture is all." And he says,
Found this pillar
"Not
thing.
you." I I just remember being at home in my house and I got this migraine and uh must have blacked out there. Often happens in the heat of battle. Yes, yes. And then he says, "Oh right, yes, it's a cybernetic implant from a war injury. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, so oh, and now it's starting to dawn on him what's going on. He says, "Well, I should get to the bottom of this." And then he says, "I have no comment for the likes of you." So,
Can Sumo intimidate him?
yeah, he can try. Make a resolve check.
Resolve check. Okay. Well,
What did you get?
3 ones and a 6.
Okay, I'm not gonna even bother rolling his opposed check because normally this would be an opposed. Yeah, so he just laughs and laughs at you, and he says, "Boy, you think you can intimidate me with that goofy grin on your face and that stupid, exaggerated swagger?"
Then he looks at himself and he goes, "Yeah, you're right. I'm too friendly for that."
Better stick to the staged fights. And he says, "Well, you go and figure out what's going on with these old buildings, and I'll figure out what's going on with these robots." And so he dusts himself off, and he's completely disinterested in examining the ruins or anything like that. He's just going around and taking stock of all the badniks. Um, meanwhile, Guster, he's in the archway, and he says, "Oh, well, I'm sure whatever's causing this is down there. It's kind of scary, though."
Adventure is my middle name. Let's go. And he starts pushing in uh gosh, I keep wanting to say Gunter. Um
His real name is Guster, but I like the idea that Suma calls him Gunter instead.
he starts pushing in Gunter. Come on, Gunter, let's go.
Am I just falling?
Oh no, you hit the ground in like maybe a second. Like you just bored through the whole building and caused it to collapse in on itself. And then you see the archway, which
Oh,
everybody else has been looking at.
what's up, guys?